Good afternoon. I'm Meha Mathur from BW Business World, and today we are very fortunate to have with us Dr. Vishal Talwar, Director, IMT Ghaziabad, and we are going to discuss today the changing contours of management education. And Dr. Talwar, with his vast experience in teaching and learning, is in the right place to discuss this. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much.
So, sir, without ado, I'll ask you. So, you have a very vast experience both globally and within the country. So, drawing from that vast experience, what would you say are the strengths of Indian education, and especially since India is vying to be the Vishwa Guru? So, what will it take for us to reach there, and how does higher education play a role there?
Yes, we have certain strengths in the Indian higher education system. One of its biggest strengths, in my opinion, and what I've felt is the what we normally call as the Guru Shishya tradition, right? Of course, it manifests very differently in this day and age. But I think what I would like to highlight here is that there is a certain level of empathetic orientation that exists, mutual respect that exists in the Indian context. At the same time, the zeal to learn, the aspiration to move into higher orbits, to be able to transform, to be able to position yourselves better. That's a very inherent trait, and thus that kind of also builds into what kind of courses students in India would like to do. Apart from that, what you also have to remember is that for a very long time, since last 60, 70 years, there has been in Indian higher education systems in the ecosystem a certain level of focus on STEM subjects, right? On subjects which are more, let's say, math orientated or IT orientated or whatever else. And I think that directly or indirectly is actually benefiting, whether you look at a lot of the talent that exists in India, whether you look at a lot of this talent which has possibly gone abroad, from a technology perspective, technology skill set, from a managerial skill set, from an administrative skill set. All this is actually benefiting, the Indian ecosystem. It's not just benefiting the Indian ecosystem. I think it's actually benefiting the entire, global, setup as well. You look at the kind of CEOs there are. You look at the kind of Indian origin, people who've been, making themselves seen, making themselves heard. People are looking at their impact. A lot of these things are essentially telling me that the Indian education system has a lot of strengths. It's about how we capitalize it.
So, what are the expectations from higher education institutes, the graduates passing out, not just in terms of manpower for the industry, but also since the world is looking at so many crisis situations, political, environmental. So, what kind of leadership can management pass outs provide?
Look, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of transformation that's happening. A lot of it is good transformation. A lot of it are challenges that we have to overcome. Climate change, for example, you mentioned. I think the right orientation of technical understanding of a subject, along with being able to have clarity of thought, going to depth of the learning, as well as ensuring that you're constantly reinventing yourself. These are attributes that we have to build into the participant or the student. If you don't build that in, and once again I'll give you an example. We talk about the fact that we're in industry 4.0, some people call it 5.0 world. Now, what's the nature of this world? The nature of this world essentially is that computing power has immensely increased. This is the age of advanced manufacturing techniques. This is the age wherein there'll be human and machine interaction. Right? All these things basically tell you that a lot of transformational change needs to be brought about in how we teach, how we deliver, how our educational institutions are structured, how the students learn in the classroom, right? So which, in our understanding, at least in my understanding, the right blend of technicality with the right kind of depth, along with the holistic orientation of how do you manage situations, how do you reduce ambiguity for yourselves and the people around you. All these things will enable you to become a far greater more effective individual, whether that be as a manager, whether that be as an administrator, whether that be as a leader, in the long term. How you make decisions, how critically you analyze the effect of these decisions across people close to you, people in your organization, people in the larger ecosystem. All these things will matter a great deal.
I was coming to that. So people in the larger ecosystem. So do B schools have a healthy outreach program structure wherein they can also, interact with the community? And also, what about the interdisciplinary research? Because research is an important component now in any domain area.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a very important question. Now, obviously, if I look at it from the new education policy perspective, there's a lot of elements over there, a lot of characteristics, a lot of parameters over there which are encouraging certain things for development. Even if we keep the new education policy on one side and look at what progressive business schools are doing on the other, I think you will realize that there's a lot of effort that goes into ensuring that people are getting the right kind of learning. People are not just, the experiential orientation is fundamentally important. How they are made to practice the concept is something that also becomes very, very important, right? When you are learning something, the concept and the context have to go together, because it's not just about memorization, it's not just about theorization, it's also about if business schools are, let's say, contributing to the corporate world or to the entrepreneur world, they have to be able to have people who are, and this is what the expectation is. You have to be able to come into the world or exit, let's say, from the MBA program and contribute economic value right from the beginning, right? How do you do that? Now, you have to, as a business school, as a management institution, as a higher education institution, we have to ensure that the right level of industry engagement exists, not just as guest session in the classroom. For example, in our case, we have a Center for Enterprise and Business Improvement. What does it do? It works with students, it works with faculties, it tries to solve issues and problems faced by small and large enterprises out there. What does it do? It helps us, one, be abreast with the kind of changes that are out there, the kind of requirements that exist, what problems is industry are, the industry people going through. But at the same time, it makes the learning much richer. If it makes the learning much richer, you're able to not only have more depth, you're able to then, in the process, contribute much more when you go out into the practitioner world. Now, at the same time, it's not just about that. You talked about multidisciplinary learning, right? Now, believe it or not, business schools have been multidisciplined, or in more ways than one. If you look at the MBA curriculum, if you look at even the undergraduate curriculum in management education, you will notice that there is a lot of focus on certain core subjects. These could be around human resource management, these could be around organization development, these could be around marketing, accounting, finance. But then you would notice that a lot of progressive schools are integrating technology, management learning, as well as liberal arts into the core of the program. Now, this essentially is how you create interdisciplinary learning, right? You cannot teach a subject in isolation. You have to teach, let's say, even if you're teaching social responsibility or ethics, you have to integrate that into, decision making. Now, a problem for a leader will not come in in an isolated format. It will not come in as a marketing problem or a HR problem. It will come in as a problem which needs to be solved, and it will have elements of many things there. If we don't train the student in an integrated manner, wherein faculty are working together to ensure that their particular subjects are integrated into the solution or into the assessment, then our job is half done. At the same time, since you talked about, let's say, a certain level of community engagement. Community engagement, in our case, is done through a Center for Sports Research. What we've done is we've adopted villages, in the region, because we believe sports can be a major equalizer, right? It can create socioeconomic mobility. At the same time, sports research is all about being able to develop at the grassroots level. Very recently, we had a collaboration with the All India Football Federation. Why did we have that collaboration? Once again, it's about industry, but looking at industry in a much more expanded manner. looking at our stakeholder engagement, enabling and helping All India Football Federation with certain amounts of research to be able to focus on innovation, to be able to focus on grassroots penetration, to make football popular amongst the younger masses becomes fundamentally very, very important. Our social responsibility, our SSR, Sustainability and Social Responsibility initiatives, is not once again about what's happening in the classroom. It's about whether those students are able to engage on projects out there. So I think what we've done is we've kind of looked at our external stakeholders and seen how we are able to bring all these stakeholders into the classroom and see how we can create much better avenues for learning for our students. And of course, in the process, also create community engagement. So our Center for Enterprise and Business Improvement creates community engagement. Our Center for Data Sciences creates community engagement. Our, right now recently launched Center for Financial Markets will do a lot of community engagement, not only with our students or faculty or alumni, but it will also work with a lot of financial sector individuals, to be able to create a lot of learning which is very practice driven.
Coming to the rankings, so IMT Ghaziabad has been among the leading institutes, not just nationally, but now FT, you are ranked 92. So what goes into the making of a successful institute year after year?
So I think it doesn't happen in a day. IMT Ghaziabad has been there for the last 43 years. It started in 1980. And of course, the reason why it started was because Sri Mahendranath ji mentioned, who's the founder of the institution, he said that, look, there's a dearth of educational institutions, especially in management, who are able to give you a lot of practicality in the learning process. You talked about the Financial Times ranking for masters, in management. If you look at that ranking and if you look at what they evaluate, a lot of the weightage and the focus is on career progression of our alumni. What have alumni been doing? What role are they playing? What kind of roles they are in? What kind of weighted salary they've been, getting over this period of time? How it has possibly increased. So these are all factors which are contributing to the evaluation within the Financial Times ranking. So, happy to state that in that particular parameter of alumni career progression, we actually, came in at number 20 globally, not just in India. In India, if I looked at the business schools that were ranked, in India we came in at number 3. Gender parity as far as the faculty is concerned. So we're at 1:1 gender parity as far as faculty is concerned, apart from another school, in France.
Since you mentioned alumni career progression, but what kind of engagement do you have with the alumni over the batches?
So I think, IMT Ghaziabad is in a very fortunate position to have many alumni, right? So we have more than 1,000 C-suite alumni, right, as well. I mean, of course, you may not have the exact data, but we know for a fact that there are more than 1,000 alumni who are actually at C-suite levels, right? Now, that's obviously happening over a period of time. We have many other alumni who have, done very well for themselves and the people around. I think, every time we meet them, every time we've organized, events, every time we've organized summits, every time we organized, workshops, along with them, we notice a lot of energy. We notice a lot of what I would call as, mutual respect, and I think that enables a lot of engagement with them. A lot of the alumni, have come back, to the classroom. A lot of the alumni have, for example, we have a mentoring program for our students. And this particular mentoring program for students, let's say in the first year, moving on to second year, the mentoring program is run by our alumni, right? And we're very fortunate and we're very thankful that the alumni run that particular mentoring program. The mentoring program enables a lot of corporate readiness for the students.
I want to discuss about the change that has come in terms of aspiration of the students. So typically the understanding is that at the end of the program there is the campus placements. But being on this side, how would you explain the whole process? I mean, are the students still attracted by the placement aspect of a B school, or are they willing to venture out on their own, take a plunge in a startup?
So I think a lot of them, if you did a survey and you asked a lot of the students, hey, would you like to start your own venture? Would you like to use this time available in the classroom as well as outside? Studying in the classroom, but then you have a lot of time. Would you want to do a startup? Would you want to at least seed something? A lot of them would obviously be very positive about it, and we've already seen that. So these are things that we are at this moment doing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Talwar, for this wonderful discussion.